Okay, today we are at Harvard Business School and we're gonna go to a women's conference. I'm here on a Saturday.
And I initially planned to stay for only an hour, but I ended up staying for the entire 8-hour conference. I took a lot of great notes. And since then, I had some time to sit down with my thoughts, go through my journals to digest what I felt and thought about March being Women's History Month. Getting these annual reports from McKinsey about women in the workplace or reading about inspiring female leaders did not make me feel any better. I mean, to this day, I remember reading Lean In and thought to myself, oh my God, is this how hard life is going to be like? Giving birth to a child and answering emails the same week? Don't get me wrong, life is hard for everyone. But every year on this day, on International Women's Day, I started to remind myself three things. One, something I can change about myself. Two, how I will treat other women. And three, I will share that with you very soon. I don't know where this started, but I started seeing online in the Korean community this phrase called 여적여. And it's short for 여자의 적은 여자다, which roughly translates to women's enemies are woman. I do not agree with this phrase, no. Looking back in my childhood, I was a very chubby, jolly kid, and I had a lot of insecurities growing up. Well, I kind of still do. And some of the things I did back then was comparing myself with others. For instance, why is this girl smarter than me? Oh, that girl dresses better than I do. She's so popular. Why don't I have that? But do you see what I was doing? I was comparing myself with every other woman and felt like they were a competition. But in reality, the only person I needed to be better than myself was me from yesterday. It was a very unhealthy way of breeding jealousy, and treating them as your competition or enemies was not a really healthy way for me to grow up. At the time, my young, immature Yujin thought the best way for me to feel better about myself is be better than that person, that girl, this other woman. But that got me feeling worse, because once you overcome whoever this person is, and then you look for another person to benchmark yourself against, it was a vicious cycle, and I started to finally look inwards. This is when my journals started to feel less like a homework, and I used it as a tool, write to myself that it's gonna be okay, you got this, Eugene, and I was essentially becoming my biggest cheerleader. 약간 보듬어주고 괜찮을 거야. Just really reminding myself that it's not the end of the world if I mess up on this quiz, this exam, or make a mistake at work. It happens. Sometimes it really pains me to see younger women, and right now my younger sister, go through this. If you're in a place where you feel like nothing's working out and you're stuck, I think it's really hard to see the good that's coming out in your life. And it's so easy to go on social media, see everyone get engaged, have kids, and feel like they're moving past, going on this race of life, and they're way ahead, and you feel like you're always falling behind. There was a chapter that I still remember reading from Lean In. I think this resonated with me because at the time I was also in college. She was preparing for her exam in school with two other friends, one male and one female. She and her girlfriend felt that they were not prepared even though they knew they studied. The male friend felt very confident going into the exam, and the end result, they all got good grades. But what I'm trying to say is, in my life, I felt that I was unnecessarily doubting myself. One of the keynote speakers at the conference, the ex-chair and ex-CEO of Warner Brothers, she also helped the Barbie movie come to life, said this: bet on yourself. You really have to give yourself that unwavering support. And sometimes, I get it, it's really hard. Whether that be through journaling or finding a support network that really supports you, you just have to keep going at it. We're all gonna make mistakes, it's gonna be okay at the end of the day. As long as we're comparing ourselves with ourselves, not with some other woman, you will be better. And sometimes I feel like imposter syndrome is a good thing, because it means that you are surrounding yourself with people that you respect, with people that you want to be like, and you are surrounded with people who push you to become a little bit better version of yourself. I also heard this quote: every good woman feel imposter syndrome at one point. Welcome to the Good Woman Club. Which goes to my next point. In media or even in movies, they would sometimes portray that one woman at work not supporting the junior female because they feel threatened. Their position might be taken over, that they might be replaced. I have yet to see that in real life, and sometimes I feel like those media portrayal are blown out of proportion. If anything, we have the world against us. So it's not us going against each other. So my mom has a strong friendship. She's a social butterfly. So anytime something goes wrong in my life or I want to talk about something and get advice, I go to my mom. And I feel very lucky to say that she is the strongest supporter in my life. One thing that she taught me earlier on, and I wish I had, acted on more, was having a strong female tribe. She went to an all-girls middle school, high school, and college, and really understood the value of sisterhood. This natural gene of having strong female friendship was unfortunately not passed on to me, but more for my younger sister. For your reference, I have one younger sister, and I do sometimes feel like we have each other's back no matter what. She has a way of bringing people together. Two of my friends, one from high school and one from college, became her friends. We started a group chat. They were all hanging out in New York without me. But what I'm trying to say is those female friendship was what got me going in the hard times. During COVID, when a friend was going through a breakup or one of the friends was just going through a really hard time at work, we had each other's back, supporting each other, meeting up in person, hanging out, making sure that we are surviving this adulthood. And I think it's a little different with friendship with male. I do think that men and women can be friends, yes. But there's also a fine line that you never want to cross, and the line that you don't want the other person to cross. That's a topic for another time. So taking my mom's advice, I also joined a sorority in undergrad. And there are some friends I made from the sorority that I still keep in touch with that are still dear to my heart. There are also studies that support this. Women who have strong friendship will live longer and a happier life. So what is it about female friendship that's so special? I think we can empathize with the situations and the problems that we're going through because at one point in our lives, we went through the same thing or know of someone else who's gotten through the similar struggles. And because of that, we have so much data in ourselves to empathize, listen, and serve as each other's sounding board. I continue to remind myself when I see a younger female analyst, an associate in my office or at a happy hour, I want to be the one making her feel comfortable. I want to be the one making her feel like she also belongs in this network, in this workplace. Because oftentimes, we don't see too many women in certain sectors and industry. I want to do my part to make sure that we're all in this together. We are creating a team, not me trying to push you off. That is not what I want to strive for. What I want is creating that strong bond with other future leaders to make sure that we can go through this together. Throughout history, we've had strong female leaders. And I'm not just talking about people who saved the country, who fought for independence, or who made history in one way or another. At one point, they felt insecure. At one point, they had to help other women out too. And I know that if both you and I continue to bet on ourselves, go on to support each other, this world may no longer need an International Women's Day. And with that, the third thing that I remind myself is to continue to share that message with people that I care in my life. You can still make an impact in your community, in wherever you belong. Be a leader of your own. And I hope you feel the same way. Stay healthy and come back to my next video topic on...
Let's go! It's time to be